If you were to recommend sort of a 1 month checkup, or if someone's listening to this,
Mhm.
like, oh man, I've owned my washer for 5 years, 10 years, and I've never really looked at anything. What would your sort of checklist be? So running a clean cycle and anything else?
Yeah, running a clean cycle. And if your washer doesn't have a dedicated clean cycle, all you've got to do is select the hottest temperature available, select the most water available. So if there's like a deep cycle or bulky bedding will typically overfill just because it compensates for some of those real large light fabrics. So select the deepest cycle, the longest cycle, the hottest cycle, and then use the cleaning tablet, which you could buy from Walmart, Amazon, eBay, whatever you want. Do that once a month, great. If not, once every 3 months. If not, once every 6 months, just do it. You also want to periodically check your hose connections to the washer, not only where it hooks up to the valve on the house, but the hose itself and where it hooks to the washing machine. They recommend that you replace those hoses. It's been a little bit since I looked at the figure, but it's somewhere between like 3 to 7 years, I think, or so, because that's like a high pressure water system. And so if that hose breaks, it's not going to take long. It will flood your house in a few hours. There's a lot of water that goes through there. So if you notice any fraying of the outside fabric, whether it's a metal braided or a rubber hose, sometimes they could develop a bulge in the hose where it just kind of looks like a big lump in it. Definitely replace it right away. We're talking, $12 at a hardware store. Yeah, if it's leaking where it connects on either end, replace the hoses. That's a big thing. And periodically just move the washer out, look underneath, see if it's, leaking, if there's any signs of oil or grease coming out where you may need to address it. A really funny tip for moving not only your washer, but really any appliance, if you've got hardwood, tile, linoleum. This actually came about in a funny way. I was working on a front load washer. It was a beast of a machine, and it was just inside this tiny, tiny little alcove of a pantry. And I
Right.
had to pull this thing out, and I mean, it was so tight I could barely get my hands in there to kind of
Mm.
wiggle it out. And so I'm working on the washer, my coworker's working on the fridge, and he sees me struggling with this thing, and I'm just doing everything I can to try to walk it out. And after a minute, he looks at me and he says, "Man, why don't you just spray some glass cleaner on the floor and it'll just slide right out?" And I'm like,
All right.
because I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure enough, if you have any appliance and you have any type of hard type surface, you spray some glass cleaner, whether it's Windex or the foamy stuff in the can. As soon as the
Hmm.
front feet of your appliance hit it, I mean, you could almost pull that thing out with 2 fingers.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's, cool little life hack there.
That's a real game changer. Yeah,
Oh
definitely.
yeah.